This is Willie D, and we are back with Pocket Dialed. And today, it's been a long time coming. We have Yushikawa with joining me this evening. We are going to talk a little bit about some season preview and then a whole bunch of other topics along the way. So, Yushikawa, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. I'm so glad we finally made this happen. I know I've been stringing you along for a long time, but really excited to be part of this.
Absolutely. No, that goes both ways. I have to shout out apology to Rode. Missed out on an appointment that I had with him. So I mean, it's understandable. It's going to happen. So if everyone can see here, Yush is one of the better GMs in FOF, and I know he is the best in APFL. As you can see here by his 11 championships, he's been to 15 bowls, number one in win percentage. It's just very impressive what you have done in this league. And I know we touched on it in our loan session in one of our pods, but if you want to briefly talk about your rise and dominance of
He's the
the
goat.
All
He's
Pro
the
Football
goat.
League.
Far from the goat, but actually, this league has been a lot of fun from the beginning. And I just really I learned something pretty significant every say 5 seasons, 6 seasons. You know what I mean? Try to apply it, but we've been running the same defense. We changed the offense a little bit here and there, but for I think since like 25 or something like that. So God knows
Mhm,
how many seasons.
mhm.
And it's just being really intentional about things, and it's been fun. And what feels along the way is the rivalries. Rob was in my division for a while, way back when. Me and you, Willie, God knows how many times we've gone at it in the playoffs. We've both been fighting for fireworks.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
so um, it's just been a
So
lot of fun. I'm still fueled to win more championships. I've got a great division right now, which is really, really fun. Really have to not be able to take that for granted. So yeah, no, it's been a great ride.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that I would probably have 8 championships had it not be us running into your Saints in the playoffs. And it
Well,
doesn't
I'm
matter.
not. Yeah,
Doesn't
but there's
matter if
no
it was a
there's no
wild.
there's no way to beat the bones about it. Yeah, there was a streak there, a pretty significant streak, playoff streak.
Yep.
Even though the regular season was probably 50-50, if not in your favor. And that's what makes the game fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like the this matching up, and the drama is great because you know we played with the same guys for such a long time. It might be once a year that both your teams are like kind of peaking at the same time, and you get that kind of drama. So it's
Hmm.
uh it's a lot of fun. Just kind of the long term approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what do you want to jump into at first?
Well, I mean, I think just to get rolling, maybe just do like the AFC North thing. I mean, I tried to write it down. It's not short on word count or anything, but maybe just use that as a jumping off point. But let's get into all sorts of stuff, like you said, take advantage. We got Rob here too. We got lots of digressions we can get into.
Hmm. So we introduced the AFC, your AFC preview on the forum today,
Yeah, let me
but
bring that up actually, so I remember what I
mhm,
said. That'll be useful.
yeah, and then I wanted a couple other guys. I wanted to have us all together, and we would kind of do a live preview, but some other things conflicted with that, and so we just couldn't get everyone together. And your session was long overdue, so hopefully the
That's
family's
cool, man. I
feeling
want people to
better.
listen to me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to share an hour's time
there,
with 3 other people. That'd be fucking boring.
there you go. So if let's see, should I pull up that screen? Is that going to be more helpful for them to follow, or
You know what? Let's let me we can look at it together, maybe me and you.
okay,
But like
okay,
let's look at the screens and kind of get into like what we're seeing. Like what I mean,
yeah.
like where we look for this kind of stuff. I think that'll probably be more interesting. You're right.
Yeah, I have multiple screens that I can use here, so I'll
Yeah, yeah,
keep this up for now, and then we can maybe dive in and talk about individual players. So, we'll keep it that way. But I'll pull your
sure.
preview up. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I have
it's
that
it's
up and
pretty
ready to go. So
straightforward. It's pretty straightforward. There's three teams. They're all really similar. It's all something that's kind of bizarro to me personally, but I think you might understand a little bit better. Three pass happy teams with very little defense. I know you messed around with like that kind of build for quite a while. Um, so yeah, really impressive teams. First of all, like I mean, just like the quality,
mhm.
the talent quality, especially given the premium that's placed on wide receivers and quarterbacks, um, and solid offense lines. I mean, they're like these guys definitely know more about offense and building offense than I do. But that's obviously the first thing you notice with the division. And the teams are really similar at that point, other than Pittsburgh. Sorry, no shade, but that's really the that's kind of like the thing that stands out to me.
Okay, so when talking about the North here, and we'll go back and look at some the GM construction. So Baltimore, we have Nemesis. Cincinnati, we have Julio Riddles. In Cleveland, we have Jeremy Z. And one of the original GMs from 2013 in Pittsburgh, we have Jay Z.
Yeah. And there's two guys there that I've heard about and have built tools and were like on the boards, like, teaching the game, like, you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, in Julio and Tizak or Nemesis, excuse me. But it's, I hadn't really been in leagues with them until just recently here, for
Mhm.
whatever reason. I never really did many of the bin leagues, kind of, so they're guys I've heard of. I know they really know what they're doing, but I hadn't really played with them all that much.
All right, so jumping into the preview itself, you started with Cincinnati.
Yeah, we went just in order, like finishing order from last season.
Uh-huh.
Cincinnati, I feel like they're probably disappointed to be honest, like with how things have gone historically. It kind of felt weird writing it, but it is a new GM. So it's hard to say like, talk too much about the past and how much it's gonna be relevant. Um, but just from like a talent perspective, I mean there's no reason Margolis can't be a top five performer, not just rated quarterback. I mean there's no glaring holes here or anything, right? Like, tricks. I'm not seeing anything that you aren't seeing there. Um, he's got some super skills to leverage, with the sense rush bar. Well, it
Mhm.
seems to be at least like a good avoid interceptions. I mean, like that's a way, you can't be a perfect team, right? But I mean, those are things you can leverage or use to compensate. So yeah, I mean, I just think that there's really no excuses at this point. Like the team is talent ready, particularly on the offensive side of the ball.
Right. So, and we touched based on this in a previous episode about Margolis. We think that he was underutilized or wasn't used in the correct way. Maybe it was a little bit of neglect. I don't think Julio is going to be that type of GM. So I fully expect him to get close to having his best season, which, should be 2057 when he had 3,800 yards and 32 touchdowns and only 10
Oh, I think
interceptions.
he'll smoke
It's
them. He'll smoke
yeah.
those numbers. I think he's going to become Baltimore. I mean, I don't know if he'll go quite that extreme. Of course, Baltimore wasn't always that extreme with the pass.
Hmm.
And Cleveland's, tending the same way. Although when we get to them, we'll see that I think they might be tacking back.
Hmm.
But I mean, this is just like a meta that's going on in this division, and I don't know. I think one of the AFC East teams does like even more extreme, right? One of them runs all the time, and one of them passes all the time. Is it New England? I think
Right.
passes all the time.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
that's going to be the AFC East, and that's Buffalo and New England. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think just
But
this general meta, like when you're in a division with those guys, or even in the conference, like I mean, this is one of those things that's like worth if you really want to be a contender, like make
mhm,
Super Bowls. You, it's worth spending 10% of your cap on specialists and guys that just allow you to do something a little bit different than you normally do against this team. Probably coverage guy who just plays deep zone, a guy who just plays like press, like but does it like really really well.
mhm,
Um, I just feel like you have 53 roster spots. Like most of us don't really actively use more than 30 of those players like meaningfully. And that kind of part of the roster, 30 to 45, like just make them good at something, man. Like but that's how you can beat teams like this consistently. I feel like.
You and I think the exact same way when it comes to roster construction. I agree with you 1,000,000% in regards to that. I don't mean to interrupt, but thinking of the Bengals, Julio put his mark on this team. Look how smart they are. That's all I want to say. Just take a look at the intelligence when you guys talk.
I did not
Holy
notice
cow,
that,
are they
and
smart?
that's funny because I'm a big smart guy myself. So I did not notice that at all. Great find.
No,
What is
and
it?
so
Holy crap! Yeah, look at that.
if anyone who's asking, that's easily he is back. He'll be popping in and out. But let's look at the intelligence a little bit. Easy and I talked about this pre-show, and I was telling him, I said, that's kind of where I am now. I'm going to it's at least going to be at a 15 season experiment here in APFL is where I am going to be. My roster is going to be tied to intelligence. We are not going to be no longer going to be a dumb football team.
Hmm.
We're just not. So and I'll see, how that correlates to wins based on what else we're doing, but I'm just not going to have a whole bunch of dumb football players
Yeah,
anymore.
I fully agree. I've been tracking plus minus for a while, and it makes a difference. I feel like. Also, just in the quality of play, like the million hidden levers that we don't see, and
Mhm.
intelligence is one of those things, kind of like size, or even like endurance, or I guess affinity, like that kind of stuff too, where you don't have to pay more for it. All things equal. So it's a way to win at the market by like finding a way to incorporate that. Everything within moderation, but like just based on like what players ask for, it doesn't affect their rating. So to me, like it's always important to like identify which of those things you can kind of take advantage of. But anyway, that's really interesting. Yeah, I can't wait to see, and I kind of wish I could play them more often. But the years that we play the AFC North, with these three kind of pass happy GMs, it's a lot of fun. I guess you probably played them in the playoffs a good bit, Rob, huh? These pass happy teams.
Sorry. Yeah, I played Baltimore for sure in the playoffs. Julio and I go way back, so we haven't battled in this league yet. But it seems like I've had a lot of classic games of late with the Patriots, the Bills, the Texans,
Yeah,
and definitely the Ravens.
sure.
And so, and then
Um,
real quick, talking about the intelligence part of it, I know that, penalties are still just a small part of that, but I wanted to bring that part to your attention and the other GMs, especially in APFL about it. Um, RG Facito has hooked us up, and he's going to be updating this after every sim. We have that penalty data, and so that's going
mhm,
to be on our header on the forum, so that everybody can go and check that out for themselves. Each GM and
that's
check
so
out
awesome.
where
Yeah,
your penalties are coming from. So
that's so
I
awesome. That's fun.
yeah. So I know intelligence plays other parts for different positions and things like that, but I did want to touch base with that and let everyone know in case you're on the forum and you don't catch everything.
Yeah, great stuff. Um, I actually did a kind of a mini study. I'm not really big into the big stuff that I know some guys do, but like I like to like just pick an idea or two every once in a while and like test it out. And yeah, like we had our smart linemen, for example, we're getting like point 0.7, I'm sorry, point like 3 penalties per game, and the dumb
Mhm.
ones are getting like 0.75. But I'm still a believer in that it affects so many more things than just the penalties, even though that's probably significant, at scale across a 45 or 22 actives. But it's I just feel like there's just something there that we can't really measure or see that's going on with the intelligence on the offensive line, particularly. A quarterback for sure too.
Yeah, because I'm looking here. You have one lineman only that.
Yeah, that was an undrafted guy, man. That's just I
Yeah,
don't want to pay the other dude back. I hope I do better than that, but like, yeah, the
yeah,
trade fodder. So I'll trade
yeah.
someone for a third in
Hmm.
2 seasons, like and
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, of all of your linemen, you only have one, and so
yeah, that was
that
just a
there's
decision I
something to
made
be
a
said.
while ago. Like I feared like not going to pursue necessarily the extra 10 points of quality like an offensive lineman. I want cohesion. It's an easy group to get affinities for, and just like profiles, right? And this is the weakest
Hmm.
offensive line we've had, but it's also very cheap from a draft capital perspective as well as financial. Like it's just and I know what we want. Like when we got what we want, it's not great, but it's
Hmm.
been pretty effective, I guess you could say. Not a winner.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's finish up if we can, or continue with this preview for the AFC North. So we know that Cincinnati has the new GM with Julio. They're going to be better than this 9-7. I'm just marking that down. I also feel like Baltimore is going to be better. No idea why they're at 8-8 when Tua, the machine, continues to do what he's doing. He had 42 touchdowns and 13 interceptions last year, and they're 8-8. We know
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
the
I didn't look at the
defense.
whole schedule, but no, it's not just the defense. Though. It's their thin. I mean, Tua is definitely going to miss 3 games. Like I would bet money on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying like they definitely have enough quality that if that happens to happening as a weaker team, like they can definitely still win another game, or two. But just generally speaking, they don't have it. And remember, I mean, they're going against other teams that are good too. Like they have. I didn't look at their whole schedule to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, but like just in their division, I would expect them to drop, maybe split with 2 of their division opponents. That's 2 losses right there. I don't know
Well,
who else they're playing, but
I'm not sure if you can see this, but it's here. What happened was that they started 0-4.
right. And
That that didn't.
that probably was an injury or something. Like something was off. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Good teams don't go in 0-4. And they're a year older. And they have no winners on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm not, I know I probably overvalue defense, but I mean, I think it's not an easy division, man. I mean, I think having
Yeah,
a balanced team is important.
yeah.
I
I
mean, who
mean,
knows? Maybe Tua's healthy for 6 games.
yeah.
Their wide
I mean,
receivers are, but they're really thin, man. Like
yeah.
really thin.
He was there in those 4 losses. I will say that as great as he is, he contributed to those 4 losses in the beginning.
That's
So
interesting. Yeah.
uh, yeah. So those 4, I mean, he was a factor. But so that being said, I agree. Cincinnati and Baltimore should be better. Um, so you say that they're thin.
Yeah, I don't see any way to win a down on defense. I think that their numbers are heavily inflated, and this is, I didn't study the play logs or anything, but just knowing teams that win by a lot, they're in blowouts, that leads to a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sacks and turnovers, and it just distorts the numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I didn't study counting myself, but I just looking at like kind of what their numbers look like. Like you can't win that many games or win so many blowouts and have that bad of defensive numbers without being really bad on defense. Against say like a quality opponent or in a close game. So that's kind of where I was at with that. I just didn't see a path to winning downs or winning games on the defense.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't pull up their uh, defensive numbers from last season. It's slowly populating. Mm, so pass
Well,
defense, they were
yeah,
31st in pass defense.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what metrics you're using. I mean, I would use for
Yeah.
defense, I like
Right.
to use yards per
Right.
attempt or rating, and then for rushing, I like to use the yardage total because that's more of a just like how
Yeah.
important is
And
the rush game.
then I'm looking at their rush defense. They were dead last. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just saying
between those two.
there's bad and then there's like significantly bad, like like
Hmm.
and they're significantly bad. Like anything that's within like one standard div for the math guys. You know what I mean? Like of normal is like I just ignore it. It's just whatever, that's just noise. Like I mean, I'm only
Yeah.
looking at the bottom or top 6, like say in any category, to see if I can find
Mhm.
anything meaningful. A lot of
Well,
noise, it's football, right? It's not baseball. This isn't
yeah.
it's hard to understand exactly what's going on.
Well, one meaningful number to me is that they were second behind Kansas City in points allowed. So, uh,
Right.
you know, as far as being 31st in the league, that means something. And
And
so,
also just, aside from what happened in the past, like you look at Cincinnati, this is like a crime. The way Pemberton has been deployed as a linebacker makes no sense. I mean, this guy's like a top 3, like defensive end. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, like this guy will put up 9 or minimum 9% pass rush,
yeah,
if not like 10% plus pass rush. I mean, like literally,
yeah,
like there's no reason. Like this guy
yeah.
has to be a defensive end. I mean, that will change his whole team. And then you look
No,
at that,
absolutely.
and
But I will say, obviously he hasn't changed positions yet. But even if he's at linebacker, why are you not putting him outside in certain situations? He should not have 0 sacks in his third
yeah,
season.
I mean, I guess there is a feasible reason. Not there's really not, to be quite honest, but like whatever. I will entertain the argument that like
Mhm.
he should play, maybe just a third down end, and or against a pass heavy team. But like to be honest, like I mean this.
Yep, I think I lost you there. There you
Sorry,
go.
I got a
Yep.
bad USB.
Okay.
The
Pass happy
no,
team.
I think that they're solid around all around, and you can play bend point break like them, like similar to Baltimore, just with solid tackling and I imagine some level of cohesion. But like they can win downs in a way that Baltimore can't, with Pemberton. Um, and that to me that just makes a big difference in like how I
Yeah.
if I had to, you know,
And that's
uh,
why I say this is probably neglect because he's in his third season. This guy should have been primed to move to D end day one. When he was drafted at 6'5" and 281, runs a 4.42. I have no idea why he's still at linebacker, but
it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, yeah, it's
yeah,
inconceivable. This is a top three defensive end,
yeah.
who's 20, in his third season.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is
So
this has to.
so this is what 15 sacks that aren't being utilized.
Yeah, and plus all the downstream effects. Actually, they have a great build for this. In my other league that I play in, for a long time, just like you guys, joined them both very shortly. Um, and it's like you look at a cornerback group, it's like all they do is play press, and all their corner safeties do is tackle. Well, like when you're got a pass rusher like that, that really has a nice synergy to it. I mean, like that's really tough to beat, even with good talent. So I think they're really they're there's no ceiling for this team. Like I mean, they definitely have potential. I mean, it's hard when you roll over the roster in one season. I'm sure there's a lot of new players and everything, but I think that they could easily win a championship.
Interesting. Wow. All right. Especially coming from the AFC, you're saying that. So yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's
someone has
it's
to win. I mean, God, no,
yeah,
Lord knows, many of the ones we won, we were not definitely not the best team. Like, I mean, we
yeah,
got hot, So,
yeah.
but yeah, so
The AFC is definitely out of control as far as GM, as far as talent, as far as rosters, all of it. I feel like there's a couple teams in the NFC, and we just got to get our act together and um, you know get there and knock on the door and see what happens. But I see it. I see at least maybe 6, 7 teams that could potentially come out of the AFC to vie for AFC Championship. With Rob, there's no reason why Mott and the Raiders won't be back in the same position they've been over the last 3 or 4 seasons. So it's up to these other teams
yeah,
to
Denver
vie
is
for
always
that
rock
spot.
solid. Briders is a great roster builder. Those AFC East teams are also just, I mean, they're so. What I like about the AFC is like they really like teams that really do these meta builds. And I mean, it's just got to be a lot of fun to kind of like have so many cool matchups to play during the regular season.
Yeah,
I just think
and
it's super. I can't wait to play those. Oh,
yeah,
this will be fun.
remember that Briders, he stepped. So
Yeah, yeah, but it's a solid
yeah,
team. I don't
no,
know if
well,
it's win
yeah.
over, but like it's like there's not a lot of talent poor teams in the
Mhm.
AFC, for sure.
All right, so I don't want to quickly gloss over these teams, but they can see your write up about the North. But let's see, we have
No,
Pittsburgh.
I mean, let's
We'll
Pittsburgh.
complete it,
I'm
but
trying to remember what I was looking at here. I thought their line was solid, like really good to be honest. It looked like they had been together for a good while. So like I just feel like they have a really great base. They have some good
Mhm.
players on defense. Um, for them is the opposite. Like I don't know how they're gonna put any points up. Like I mean, how do they win a down? How do they get a third and 8? How do they have the threat of having like multiple 30+ yard plays in a game? Just not a lot of paths to victory. But I mean, I think they have a really solid foundation. It's a well built roster. It's just missing that top end offensive talent.
And so
This
with
guy's
that, I
cool,
mean,
like, you know what I mean? But he's not gonna carry the offense. I mean, that's a
mhm,
great number 2, like, you know what I mean? Or,
okay,
but, like, he's, that's not what I'm talking about. As much as I love my tight ends, that's not a and they ain't gonna cut it.
yeah, that's why I just can't. People do it all the time. They're successful with it. They'll get their tight end 1,000 yards. Um, however many targets, receptions, whatever. I've just always wanted to have those go to my wide receiver, but
Yeah, the wide receiver's more dangerous. They
such
get
is
more
life.
yak per catch. They get more yak per catch. They can run deeper routes.
Yeah,
It's just the numbers bear it out. There's a reason it's
yeah,
valued less.
right.
You also only need one tight end, like, you know what I mean, which kind of changes
Mhm,
the economics in the marketplace for it. And this guy Barton, let's see, that's funny. I see him quite different. I think if I'm thinking of the same guy. No, I'm thinking of someone else. Excuse me. We'll get to him later.
okay.
Um, no, this is a great player. Solid player. Great player. We'll see what this contract looks like. This is the problem with linebackers. Somebody's had great mini linebackers. I did my ring of honor recently. You'd be surprised, like, how many, very few of them will I pay for 8, 10 years. Um, uh, they're hard to find. They're valuable. Not denying that, but,
Mhm.
like, for whatever reason, they just ask for a lot of money sometimes. I think it's they rack up a lot of tackles. They're involved in a lot of plays. I'm not sure exactly why, but
But
the contracts can get pretty insane for
mhm,
linebacker for me.
looking at this guy too. I know he's 240, but can he not go to will and still give you some pressure outside and at least get a
That's
sack?
that's I'm against that. I think that's kind of another situation where you're like, I'm not saying they're not productive. I'm sure you could cite a dozen cases of me of that being productive. When you look at plus and minus, you play guys who are, you know, 20 pounds out of weight, 10% out of weight. You look at market economics again, because you put him there, assuming you actually change his position as you should do. Um, he's going to want even more money. You know what I mean? You're paying for a 70 rated player that's giving you 60 production. So it's just not good business. There's no reason to do that. You want a stud, we'll flip them. Like, flip them for a player who's a goodwill 3-4 outside linebacker. If that's what you want to do, there's plenty of players. No reason to be
No.
doing. Yeah.
What you're saying is, so you talking about from inside to outside, or you talking about to D end?
At the end at 240.
No, no, no. I'm talking about you switching him to outside linebacker. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, that's
talking
what I'm
about.
saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
know, and he would
yeah.
be way more expensive, and you'd be getting 10% less value, if not 20% less value on the bar. It just to me, it's just not good business. So yeah, no, that would be a no go for me. And that's kind of one of those
Mm,
wasted bars at inside linebacker. Um, he, just because they don't pick up the sack, I'm not really just judging it.
yeah. USB again. There you go.
Just yeah, I just wouldn't want to be paying that kind of money for an inside linebacker's pass rushing bars. They probably do have some effect, like indirect. You don't see it in the stat sheet.
Mhm.
But it's again just one of those things. Like, you're going to be paying for that bar, and you're not getting full value on that bar. So yeah, generally speaking, I'll stay away from paying these kind of guys.
All right. Well, if Jayzik, if you ever want to get rid of this guy, let me know. Um,
Trade him for an offensive piece, man. You could be really
yeah,
good. Yeah, I mean, not
yeah,
real good in the AFC. It's loaded, but, like, yeah, I think that's a no brainer. Cool. No, no, but, like, a solid team, like I said, Pittsburgh,
yeah, yeah.
and then
It's a
Cleveland.
lot more solid top to bottom than I thought it was, for
Yeah,
sure.
there's nothing sexy going on. No wide receiver and no quarterback, no running back. But the rest of the team, to be quite honest, is totally contention ready, so it's fine.
All right. So then we rounded out with Cleveland.
Yeah, they got a lot of hype this last season. I think they beat the pants off us like 50-3 or something like that. I mean, we lost some lopsided games last year. Um, so yeah, rookie sensation quarterback. I don't know how much of it's him or two 70 rated wide receivers. And these 70 rated wide receivers are like legit 70s. I mean, like, they have great bars, great bars.
Mm,
Horton too, to be honest. I mean, they have three guys that are just, you run any route, you can run any, do anything. You know what I mean? Catch any pass, be a threat anywhere. High endurance. I mean, this is just a level of wide receiver talent that is it's foreign to me, but it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know if he was experimenting toward the end where, he gave up 30, 40, 30, 30 the last 4 weeks of the season. Maybe just testing some things out. Who knows? But um, like you're saying, having, the talent here at wide receiver, that's been a minute since I've seen this kind of things put together.
Yeah, in their
First
eighth
round
year,
pick,
but
first
one of
round
them signed
pick.
for 4 years. The other ones, whatever, he'll be probably franchised and re-signed. Um,
Mhm.
like they're gonna be able to hold this together, and they've also drafted really well.
Yeah, this is the last guy.
When Tirtha hits the hopefully he gets re-signed after 3 years. That's usually the best for long-term, cap implications. And like he's gonna have a nice like little 3-year window here where they're gonna have a developed quarterback, good offensive line, those three receivers. That's gonna be really interesting to see like what he can do with that window.
Yeah, this third down bar is the only thing killing him because I would gather he's probably more in toward that 60 range, plus 60 range. But I'm showing a 58 on it because of that third down catching
Yeah, same here. But like again, that's a
for
bar
Horton.
that I'm sure it does
Hmm.
something, but I don't.
Yeah.
I would almost rather have my third guy not have a third down bar because now I'm paying him less. Like it's like that's a great look look at me 70s. I just look at the 3 bars. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
for receivers, just route running, get downfield, and big play in that order. That's kind of yeah, you got to make sure you at least get a couple big play guys. But it's pretty obvious. That's the to me at least that's the way that you should look at wide receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. He should have that. Yeah, he got that guy for 50 euro. So
And these guys are
yeah, I'm not.
absorbing 200 targets, man. 200 targets, and they're still efficient. They're still 5 yak players. I mean, that's not.
Mhm.
I've only had. Well, I don't think in this league I've ever had a guy who could do that. To be quite honest, my other league I have before, but it's not something that you count on, even with like talent, right? Like I've had 70 wide receivers who just don't perform at that kind of volume. So I mean, I mean, they're set, man. Like, what I mean? Like, it's just 3-4 years. They're going to be able to really ride this thing. They rotated some players in that's good. They're kind of, I feel like, tooling up for that window. Like that running back they got, Benson, for their kind of
Mhm.
system. They've got the 2 guards, traditional guards they brought in. I'm a big believer in traditional guards. Everyone knows I like to run the ball. So they got the high sense rush on the quarterbacks. Like, that's fine. It's not going to be a blocker to them. Yeah, no, they're really, really set up very, very well. Um,
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to ask, all of these guys, how many of them are, running the TZAC system? How many are running, your own thing? How much did you get? How much of it is your original thing as far as all of these pass happy teams that are around now, especially the ones who don't run.
yeah, there's a level of pass happy that these guys feel comfortable with that is just, to be honest, totally
mhm,
foreign to me. I would definitely listen to that episode. I would love to hear like about these guys' experiences with it. It's not, again, I've run into it before in multiplayer leagues, but I don't it's just so foreign from what I've always done. Um,
yeah,
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 most of what I learned, to be honest, was from you in the when I first started in the early 20s, mid 20s. And it was just offensive line, run the ball, and don't be afraid to shoot it deep. That was FF7 where deep passing was a little bit, I feel like, better
mhm,
than here, but it's still the attitude, right?
yeah,
Just in the it's I like it. It makes you dangerous as a team. You can beat anyone on any day. You don't always have to that's how you get 10, 12-year windows open. Because you don't have to get that perfect trifecta of receivers and tackles and quarterback. So it's been a lot of fun playing that way. But yeah, I would love to hear more about this pass happy teams and kind of what goes into it.
yeah. So segue into that, I wanted to make sure I didn't forget this question. uh, because I brought it up many times and I've forgotten. Uh, so I was coaching back then, so it's out of my head and thinking. If you can remember, what advice did I give you back then that you know? And I'm not saying it contributed to your dominance, but
No, no, definitely. Yeah, no,
I do not remember exactly what was said.
no.
But
I don't
I
know
know
exactly
you
what it said
took
either.
it.
It was either run the damn ball, um, offensive line, or you can't have too much offensive line because you were insane back at the beginning, man. No,
Yeah,
you would have
definitely,
like you would
definitely
have
line.
you would have 4 70 rated
Yeah,
interior linemen at all
yeah,
times and 3 65 plus tackles at all times on your roster. It was just like the moment you didn't have one,
yeah,
you would draft one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it
right.
was just like this. And like, and then
Yep.
also, actually, I think I lost to Clown the first time I made the playoffs, or maybe the second time, but I was still learning and everything. And he just ran and ran on me.
Mhm.
And I kind of got back to like, I mean, it's really not that different from real football, guys. Like, 2nd and 7 is so much better than 2nd and 10. And being able to rip off, say, 4 to 6, like 1st and 10 runs for a first down, even if they don't go big, like that's how you win football games. Like that is how you win football games. By getting into 2nd and 7, 2nd and 10, like I'm talking like 80% plus rate, like,
Mhm.
um, and um, and being able to do cheap just because you're bigger, better at running the ball than the other team, you're ripping off 10, 15 yards, a handful of times a game, and that's how you can beat teams that can put up, 6,000 passing yards in a season.
Yeah, I think I do remember, and I've gotten back to this now, is that trying to make sure my trenches are always first, and then
Foundation.
everything else will kind of come in place. And then, trying to remember the last time I had a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, because used to just have them going to Pro Bowls, this and that, and the other. And then I don't know if you look at this, but I know it's changed a little bit in FOF8, but I remember we used to have a lot more pancake blocks.
Uh,
Um, and I mean, I used to have guys who would get maybe 15 plus in a season, and I just don't see it anymore. So I don't know if it has the style changed, or I've changed it too much, or if it's just not, or if it got nerfed or whatever.
it's not something I look at all. I can't
Yeah, I
remember and tell you a single
yeah.
thing about pancake blocks.
Mhm,
I do remember in FO7 that he did like the Football Outsider metrics, like success rate, I guess is more commonly known these
mhm,
days.
mhm.
But like, getting 5 yards on first down, or 70% of yards needed on second down, converting a third. And that's kind of the way I think the game is kind of designed in the back end. Like, it's all very heavily normalized. Otherwise it'd be kind of stupid. Like, to have like 100 versus 0, and you always have a certain outcome. Um, and I think FOF7 was built on, say, 2003 football, maybe even like 1999 football. And I think, FOF8 is probably like more like 2009, 2011. I know some people don't complain about the nerf or the patch to the passing game, but actually I kind of prefer this way. It preserves some balance, different ways to build a team, and be successful. But no, pancake legs aren't something I look at, but I do look a lot at just like the distribution of runs, right? So it's not all just about like the average, right? Making
Mhm.
4 yards, like I said, 3 4 yards consistently, like that's a great play for 1st and 10. Now you don't want to run that play on 2nd and 10, but like that's a great play for 1st and 10. Yeah, that's a good way to look at the game that way. And also, I love it.
Yeah,
You just throw the ball deep, man. You go for the big blow. You still throw
yeah,
more 9s, 8s, and 7s than anyone, man. I like 6s, you know what I mean? But like, you really, like, you don't even mess around. You go straight 7 8 9, like, So
yeah.
it's just fun, man. It's
Yeah,
great.
I
Yeah.
know. I noticed. I'll touch that with that in just a second. But I did notice the pancakes only because I'm starting to build the all decade teams, and so I noticed that with the linemen, and I was like, man, those numbers just seem real high back in the 19s and 20s, and looking at it now. And so that made me think about it. So I just wanted to touch base with that. But going to what you're saying as far as that passing, I looked at that earlier when I was doing the preview for the NFC West and trying to see what that percentage is. So yeah, so is this the right one? Short yardage. There's one that says short, medium, and long. And I
Yeah.
was really kind of here. I think this one's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Notice the
so
next one, miscellaneous
yeah,
passing offense.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's what you want.
our short we were 68.4, and this is with the horrible. I mean, it wasn't. Well, some of it was horrible outside of Joe Burrow, but
Yeah, this is what we're going to be
that's
looking at here. So when I look at a
yeah.
passing attack, including our
Hmm.
own, we're much bigger on offense, to be quite honest, at self scouting than worrying about what the other team's doing. Um,
Okay.
so like what I, we want to look at frequency and then like percentage and then average yards per attempt. So like it tells you a story, like how often are they doing it? Do they catch the
Hmm.
ball? And if like the average per attempt rate is much higher than say like the percent rate, just
Hmm.
relative, it just means like, oh, they're yak. Like, okay, these guys are dangerous. Like we got to tackle these guys. Like, we want our tackling defenders in. You know what I mean? Like they don't complete a lot of passes. So like, that's kind of like how I look through this. I use this screen right here a lot. Looking at myself or the team I'm going against. Where are they most dangerous?
All right. So with that, yeah, Atlanta, and then you got Houston, and then of course Rob goes with the long ball.
Yeah, but like if you look at short, like let's sort it by just like the frequency, like just how many short passes someone throws. It'll actually sort by attempted, but that's fine, or completed, but that's close enough. On the short passes, you'll
Yeah, so this
see
one is this one closer or no? Or should I be on something else?
on the short, like the left column, all the way to the left. I'm looking at
Yeah,
something else, I think. Yeah.
yeah, maybe. Because
All right,
I'm a
don't worry about it. Don't worry
miscellaneous
about it.
pass offense. So
All right. Yeah, no, but like the left, the short, where it says short, click that one.
yeah, yeah, I've clicked it.
Okay, but okay, there we go. So like
Yeah.
Houston throws the most short passes, right? But they're
Hmm.
also really efficient at it. See, so you got 70% completion rate. Like
Right.
that's a little bit good.
Hmm.
And then I don't know what their average yards per attempt is, but like if it's also like tops in the league, it's like you're saying like, oh, they're really hard to beat. Like there's no lever to pull to slow them down. Um, as far as their short passing goes. But
Yeah,
if
they're
one of the numbers
still
is
top
lower,
10. They're still top 10 as far as the average per attempt in short.
right? Let's see if I can find a good example to kind of show you what I mean. Okay, yeah, well, we're a great example. Sorry to be self-centered here, but so like click on a percent, short percent, the second
Hmm.
column,
Hmm.
and you'll see like okay, so New Orleans is I felt like we were like
Yeah.
right there by
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 68.4.
Okay, but like they're below average, right?
Yep.
And then you go to average per attempt, and all of a sudden we're fourth. So what's that telling you is like, yeah, we're not really that efficient, like passing the ball short from like a completing passes standpoint, but we get a lot of yak, right? Because it's we're getting more yards per. It's like the way to stop us
Hmm.
would be to tackle, right? We
Right,
already don't
right.
complete that many passes, so that's kind of like how I use this kind of stuff. Obviously, like the long numbers, I feel like can be easily skewed by a couple big plays. So
Hmm.
I don't like really mess with that. But like short passing, that's kind of like one of the first decisions you have to make. Like, are we gonna blitz? Are we gonna drop eight? Are we gonna spy? Are we gonna double? Like, do we need to tackle? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or can we get pass rush? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to find a strategy. I feel like for like winning. What are we gonna do against short passing for most teams? I guess downfield passing for guys like you, but like that's like kind of how we look at this kind of stuff.
Okay. So looking at that, and yeah, Seattle's up at the top again, but we talk about average. Yeah, so I say Houston. Houston does a pretty decent job to me. Then
Yeah, they're very balanced,
Raven.
and he carries yeah, that quarterback carries a lot of load in that offense.
Uh,
So
uh,
he's not loaded with three wide receivers. 65 plus wide receivers. Like it's a he's got some magic going on there for sure.
right. Okay. Let's go on to wherever you want to go here. I think we pretty much covered that, other than what you think. I know we have that posted, but for those who are not on our forum, I guess you can go ahead and give your final preview of who you think is going to win the North, and then we'll wrap that up.
No, yeah, Cincinnati. If it was even money, I'd put money on it. For the reason we talked about, I mean, they just have winners. They have that Pemberton wild card. They're just as talented as the other teams.
Mhm.
I think they have more avenues to kind of be a little bit better on defense. Um, and Baltimore certainly can make noise. I mean, I feel like there's a pretty broad range of outcomes that could happen to them. No reason
Mhm.
to think that the cohesion and they just people stay healthy and like, but I think that they could have some holes that make them drop a few games and I don't know, call them like a losing in the wild card or maybe divisional. Um, And then, yeah, Cleveland, I think it's just too young of a quarterback, too much turnover just quite this year for those two monsters in there. You know, if Tua leaves, like they just immediately jump right into that spot.
Right.
And they have some great young players. And then Pittsburgh, yeah, I mean, just really tough luck with that division. Great, really solid roster, but hard to see
He just
8
needs a
wins. And
quarterback.
yeah, hard to see 8 wins. Coming out of that division with that roster.
All right. So yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your Saints. You want to start offense, defense, special teams? What do you want to do?
I guess, yeah. Well, how much glutton for punishment am I going to be here talking about my weak ass offense these days? I think it'll probably be more interesting to talk defense. I think I probably have a stronger take on that. Something that's maybe not that hasn't been said a lot before. So yeah, maybe we'll start there.
Okay. All right. So defensively, let's see where we were. Yeah. So like I said, you own the division, pretty much own the NFC. So you can take it away. You did give up 386 last year, which is actually surprising from you.
I think I had the 31st ranked pass defense by yards per attempt.
Man,
When we were wrong, we were really wrong last year. It doesn't make sense. It's not the first time, to be honest, we've had a bottom 2 or 3 pass defense, yet also, made a bowl game or probably even won a bowl game. I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before about just winning downs. Trying, it's just, I believe in winning third down. I believe in winning first down. I believe in winning second down. Like that's just that's our
yeah.
attitude towards defense. It doesn't necessarily mean we blitz the most or anything, but like
You're just a
we're
winner
going,
then, right? You just
we're going to stop every play. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie, I get a hard on for myself when I see some game where I gave up like 2.4 like yards per pass attempt or something like that. You know what I mean? And it happens, like, and it's just I just love it. You know what I mean? Defense to me is so much fun, just being reactive. But without getting too into the depths of like the game planning, I think we were running a 2-3-4 for I mentioned this, maybe I can't remember if we had started the tape since 2025, maybe something like that.
Okay.
Um I think a lot of defense is just like it's just the guy for the job. I put this in a note somewhere, I think on our own preview. Um, I'm just looking for guys who are 70 at the bar that I care about, the 3 or 4 bars that are important to me. Don't make any compromises on size. I'll do an inch at most, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Like I will do 1 inch on size, especially for front 7 players,
Mhm.
or no more than 5% like weight from ideal. Um, and the 2-3-4 is very hard to find high quality players. The nice thing is they don't have a lot of production, typically speaking. So you can usually keep them for a long time, and they're not as expensive. But the defensive line, you're looking 6'4", 295 plus only for your ends. 6'3", I'll take. The nose tackle I want as big as humanly possible. Minimum 330. I'll do some 325 if it's
Mhm.
fit the rest of it. I'll make a slight compromise there. 6'4", of course, nose tackle. Um, Inside linebackers, run, zone, bump, play diagnosis. Uh, Will has to be able to be a contained defender. Obviously, you want a big pass rush tech bar, but it's not really. I mean, it's a lever to pull, right? But really, you want a contained defender, somebody who's going to affect the pocket in some way. They're rushing most of the time. And then the strong side is the guy who covers the tight end and really has to be able to set the edge. Um, you know, so yeah, like this is a great example. Harris Hardy, nose tackle we got from you for like a 5th or a 6th. Not a valuable player, but like he does the nose tackle job. He has play diagnosis. He has size. He has run. He has endurance. Like we're not winning because of him, but like he's a starting player for nothing essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I see he's inactive. So you're saying he's going to play? He's going to start? What is he going to
no
do? Is
reason
he
to play him
just?
because I have Emmons still. Emmons is an 11-year vet on the squad, has pretty much the exact same
Mhm.
bar profile, maybe a little bit of pass rush, not meaningfully so though. Um, I said this also in a post one time, but like, at a certain point, like Emmons is worth more to me than anyone else because I get 11 years of cohesion, like when he's on the field. And to be honest,
Mhm.
last year, and I think even maybe the year before that, we actually had two other really young nose tackles. One of them was rated like 60 future. Another guy was a Barrett. He's still on the roster, but he was 10 points higher. And we had this great future transition plan for nose tackle. And they both dropped 10, 20 points, X2. So whatever, Emmons is going to start this year. And, he normally, last couple of years, we got the young guy snaps, but he plays in the playoffs. And,
Mhm.
last 2 years, we've been better in the playoffs. That's when I want that 11 years of cohesion. Like in a regular season, like whatever, I'll play Hardy, get some young guys some snacks. But, just look at Emmons. I mean, that's a nose tackle. Look at those two guys. Like, the three bars you care about for nose tackle are run, play, diagnosis, and endurance, and you don't compromise on size. And that's it. That is a nose tackle. Ammons was actually a left defensive end, slightly overweight, so he gained weight late in his career. But he was like 315, but he's like 6'7", so proportionally he's like a left defensive end.
Mhm.
For I don't know how many years, whatever, 8 years, 7 years. We had Barmore at nose tackle. That was a big free agent swing we took, or maybe a trade. And that kind of put us over the hump for a while. That's how you get rings. You gotta, just because we play it safe doesn't mean that like we don't take a bet every 5 years on a big signing. You can't pick 25 plus every year and land 70 rated players with a lot of consistency. So
Yeah, I think I
yeah.
remember Barmore.
He had some insane productive years, and he ended up. And we paid him the whole time. He's one of those guys like he just signed expensive, you keep him, but his production was just always there. He was he won't be. I might put him in the Ring of Fame. He normally I don't do players that played only 6 years or so, but he might make it in there anyway. I haven't
Yeah,
looked at his
there you
numbers,
go. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, so another 6'6", 330 guy. Okay.
but he was a pass rusher, and he had one freak year. I think he got whatever 12, 14 sacks for us, which from a nose tackle is just obscene. Um, We also like to rotate, have specialists obviously on the defensive line. Even a guy like Tackle Peen or Wyatt who have no weaknesses, try to get them some snaps off. So like, and Wyatt's another player, perfect seven. I think he's gone down a little bit the last 2 years. The defensive end, just he's had some good productive years. He's had some years that are not as good. Um, but just like 65-70 run, 65-70 in both pass rush bars, 65-70 in play diagnosis, and then endurance, and 6'3", 300 pounds. So like that's just a guy that just can do that job really well.
Yeah, so Rob, you can chime in here for just a second because like I said, I haven't run a 3-4 unless something happened in a staff draft and I missed it or missed my import or something. But as far as RZB, where there aren't any 4-3 coordinators really available, and almost every other person runs a 3-4, this kind of stuff might be very interesting to those guys because he is giving you position specific height and weights. Because I'm looking at these guys and they're pretty damn similar, kind of like what he's saying here. So I'm really interested to see where else you go, especially with the linebackers. And because we talk about Rossett, this guy, you nailed
Hold on,
this
let
freaking.
me just slow down one bit there because I'll
Okay,
answer a mystery and then we'll use it as we
okay,
continue
all
forward.
right.
Read the help file, guys. Firstly, read the philosophy documents. Not forget about FOF. Just read them as like this is how this man understands football. The first sentence in them, and this is an old software documentation thing. It says force equals mass times acceleration, and it gives you a chart for the ideal size for each player. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, again, this is just like a no-brainer. Like, don't fuck with it, man. Like, just get the players that are the right size to play their positions. This is grown man football. This isn't D3. You know what I mean? Like that's what he's trying to emulate here. And it's just silly not to have really, really right size players, weight, height, the whole deal. And then you look at the 3-4, true 3-4, and they're two gap scheme. This is the old Pittsburgh early 90s defense. And you guys who know more football history than I do, probably even before then, I didn't get serious with football till around then. Parcells theory, planet theory football. This is the world that Jim comes from a defensive football standpoint. So yeah, you don't mess around with size. No compromise on size. So yeah, that's, and the thing tells you they're two gap defenders. The idea of the 2-3-4 in particular, the rush can come from anywhere. It's unpredictable. I think that's probably where the intelligence of a lineman kind of comes into play too. Because the rusher can go to either gap. And even though the will blitzes more than I think even Jim intended in this game, in the actual like play sheet, um, it still counts as like it's a blitz. It's not the same four down lineman rushing at the same gaps every down. And I think it's harder to get the players. Therefore, the players should be more effective. That's just the way game balance works. But anyway, sorry for my diatribe there. But it's just
No,
something I know that everyone should do better. They should read it critically. They don't have to read it think about the game at all. Just read the defensive philosophy books. It'll tell you a lot of things about what's important.
yeah. So yeah, Rob and I we're trying to get some other enhancements done, and I know that's one thing that I'm trying to implement. I'm just trying to get everything from the help file into one specific location and to help our GPT do some things that I want it to do. But that's one thing I want to implement is getting all the help file information in there so it can actually learn the proper way. But so you are specifically 3-4 and true 3-4 and don't deviate from that.
In this league, yeah, that has been the case, and I don't think it'll ever change. It's just like tradition at this point. So yeah, I yeah, like literally since 25 or maybe even before then. To be honest, I don't know. That's kind of my first what I remember back that far.
Yeah, so unfortunately it doesn't give us this. So, and that's what another thing I want to do is I do want to get coaching trees in here somehow. I want to see who other coordinators that have gone on and become head coaches and this
I mean,
and
you have the
that. And
history that's in that table there, like the
yeah,
coaching history, like who they've been like. So a Rick, or I'm too lazy, but it's feasible. That's
yeah,
for sure.
no,
Like, you could
no,
definitely
yeah,
build. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
so our project, what Easy and I were trying to get done with another GM and RZB, don't want to put his name out there just yet until I get approval. But we want to pull out all of the other information, especially the stuff that IHOP is doing, not specifically everything that they're doing, but all of the things that are in the CSV that we are not getting on our Plus site that Red Dove graciously gave us. We want to make sure that we can get a lot of that information and make it useful, make it visually useful instead of just being in the CSV and nobody knows really how to interpret it. So
yeah.
that's where we're going with that, and so hopefully we can kind of get that done. Hopefully by the end of the year.
So yeah, yeah, like literally since 25 or maybe even before then. To be honest, I don't know. That's kind of my first what I remember back that far.
Yeah, so unfortunately it doesn't give us this. So, and that's what another thing I want to do is I do want to get coaching trees in here somehow. I want to see who other coordinators that have gone on and become head coaches and this
I mean,
and
you have the
that. And
history that's in that table there, like the
yeah,
coaching history, like who they've been like. So a Rick, or I'm too lazy, but it's feasible. That's
yeah,
for sure.
no,
Like, you could
no, yeah,
definitely
yeah,
build. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
so our project, what Easy and I were trying to get done with another GM and RZB, don't want to put his name out there just yet until I get approval. But we want to pull out all of the other information, especially the stuff that IHOP is doing, not specifically everything that they're doing, but all of the things that are in the CSV that we are not getting on our Plus site that Red Dove graciously gave us. We want to make sure that we can get a lot of that information and make it useful, make it visually useful instead of just being in the CSV and nobody knows really how to interpret it. So
yeah,
that's where we're going with that, and so hopefully we can kind of get that done. Hopefully by the end of the year is what I hope. We may
sure.
have to throw some ducats that way, um, but so Rob can get off his horse here. Yes, I do provide other people with valuable players. So here's one that I really like this guy. But we wanted to get a little bit younger. We had some guys pop, and Neil Lane, the Pro Bowler, ends up in New Orleans. What do you plan on doing with him?
Well, this is a total compulsive thing. I don't regret it. It was like a fifth round pick or something, which is pretty meaningless to me. I mean, it's nice to have them, but I don't care really.
Mhm.
Um, I just compulsively saw this bar profile. This is, I mean, he's 253, is a little light for Will, right? But
Yeah.
for a third down specialist, I'll accept it. Um, so yeah, I mean, this guy can rush the passer. Is he a contained defender? No, he's light. His run
Right.
defense is weak. His play diagnosis is weak. For a third down defender, like, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's fine. I'll pay a fifth round for 1 year. This guy, actually, he wants like 11
Right.
million a year. I was in such a rush to get him. I didn't even ask. To be honest, I didn't even see how old he was. Like, I was just like, yep, I'll do it. I mean, I don't know if you remember posting it, Willie, but like, I had sent you a Discord message like within
Yes.
like probably half an hour. Next time I happen to look at my phone and like, look at, like, I was like checking some shit. I was like, oh, yep, I'll do it. Yeah, man. I mean, this is just a guy. Talk about a guy who does his job. Like, you know what I mean? And we have Drake, to be honest.
Mhm.
Drake took a big hit this year. Thank God we didn't pay him. We were thinking about paying him early and just like really, we're like kind of on a 2-3 year window here, and just kind of just so I don't have to worry about that. But he took a big hit. But actually, his pass rush bar is still solid. So it's a luxury. But hey, whatever. This guy can rush the passer, man. I mean, like that's all there is to it. That's all he would do for us. If I
Mhm.
play one of these pass happy teams, like there you go. This is a guy that can win you 3 or 4 downs against Baltimore. You know what I mean? That if
Yeah.
if you don't have this guy, it's very easy not to have this guy. I almost didn't have this guy.
Sure.
Another guy was a Barrett. He's still on the roster, but he was 10 points higher. We had this great future transition plan for nose tackle, and they both dropped 10, 20 points x2. So whatever, Emmons is going to start this year, and he normally last couple of years we got the young guy snaps, but he plays in the playoffs, and
Mhm.
last 2 years we've been better in the playoffs. That's when I want that 11 years of cohesion. Like in regular season, like whatever, I'll play Hardy, get some young guys some snacks, but just look at Emmons. I mean, that's a nose tackle. Look at those two guys. Like the three bars you care about for nose tackle are run, play, diagnosis, and endurance, and you don't compromise on size. And that's it. That is a nose tackle. Emmons was actually a left defensive end, slightly overweight, so he gained weight late in his career. But he was like 315, but he's like 6'7", so proportionally he's like a left defensive end
Mhm.
for I don't know how many years, whatever, 8 years, 7 years. We had Barmore at nose tackle. That was a big free agent swing we took, or maybe a trade, and that kind of put us over the hump for a while. That's how you get rings. You gotta just because we play it safe doesn't mean that like we don't take a bet every 5 years on a big signing. You can't pick 25 plus every year and land 70 rated players with a lot of consistency. So
Yeah. I think I
yeah.
remember Barmore.
He had some insane productive years, and he ended up. I mean, we paid him the whole time. He's one of those guys like he just signed expensive, you keep him, but his production was just always there. He was he won't be. Yeah, I might put him in the Ring of Fame. He normally I don't do players that played only 6 years or so, but he might make it in there anyway. I haven't
Yeah.
looked at his
There he
numbers,
is. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. So another 6'6", 330 guy. Okay.
but he was a pass rusher, and he had one freak year. I think he got whatever 12, 14 sacks for us, which from a nose tackle is just obscene. Um, We also like to rotate, have specialists obviously on the defensive line. Even a guy like Tackle Peen or Wyatt who have no weaknesses, try to get them some snaps off. So like, and Wyatt's another player, perfect seven. I think he's gone down a little bit the last 2 years. The defensive end, just he's had some good productive years. He's had some years that are not as good. Um, but just like 65-70 run, 65-70 in both pass rush bars, 65-70 in play diagnosis, and an endurance, and 6'3", 300 pounds. So like that's just a guy that just can do that job really well.
Yeah. So Rob, you can chime in here for just a second because, like I said, I haven't run a 3-4 unless something happened in a staff draft and I missed it or missed my import or something. But as far as RZB, where there aren't any 4-3 coordinators really available, and almost every other person runs a 3-4, this kind of stuff might be very interesting to those guys because he is giving you position specific height and weights. Because I'm looking at these guys and they're pretty damn similar, kind of like what he's saying here. So I'm really interested to see where else you go, especially with the linebackers. Um, and because we talk about Rossett, this guy, you nailed
Hold on,
this
let
freaking.
me just slow down one bit there because I'll
Okay.
answer a mystery and then we'll use it as we
Okay.
continue
All
forward.
right.
Read the help file, guys. Firstly, read the philosophy documents. Not forget about FOF. Just read them as like this is how this man understands football. The first sentence in them, and this is an old software documentation thing. It says force equals mass times acceleration, and it gives you a chart for the ideal size for each player. So, I
Mhm.
mean, again, this is just like a no-brainer. Like, don't fuck with it, man. Like, just get the players that are the right size to play their positions. This is grown man football. This isn't D3. You know what I mean? Like that's what he's trying to emulate here. And it's just silly not to have really, really right size players, weight, height, the whole deal. And then you look at the 3-4, true 3-4, and they're two gaps game. This is the old Pittsburgh early 90s defense. And you guys who know more football history than I do, probably even before then, I didn't get serious with football till around then. Parcells theory, planet theory football. This is the world that Jim comes from a defensive football standpoint. So yeah, you don't mess around with size. No compromise on size. So yeah, that's and the thing tells you they're two gap defenders. The idea of the true 3-4 in particular, the rush can come from anywhere. It's unpredictable. I think that's probably where the intelligence of a lineman kind of comes into play too. Because the rusher can go to either gap. And even though the will blitzes more than I think even Jim intended in this game, in the actual like play sheet, um, it still counts as like it's a blitz. It's not the same four down lineman rushing at the same gaps every down. And I think it's harder to get the players. Therefore, the players should be more effective. That's just the way game balance works. But anyway, sorry for my diatribe there. But it's just
No,
something I know that everyone should do better. They should read it critically. They don't have to read it think about the game at all. Just read the
Mhm.
defensive philosophy books. It'll tell you a lot of things about what's important.
Yeah. So yeah, Rob and I we're trying to get some other enhancements done, and I know that's one thing that I'm trying to implement. I'm just trying to get everything from the help file into one specific location and to help our GPT do some things that I want it to do. But that's one thing I want to implement is getting all the help file information in there so it can actually learn the proper way. But so you are specifically 3-4 and true 3-4 and don't deviate from that.
In this league, yeah, that has been the case, and I don't think it'll ever change. It's just like tradition at this point.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, like literally since 25 or maybe even before then. To be honest, I don't know. That's kind of
Mhm.
my first what I remember back that far.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it doesn't give us this. So, and that's what another thing I want to do is I do want to get coaching trees in here somehow. I want to see who, other coordinators that have gone on and become head coaches and this
I mean,
and
you have the
that. And
history that's in that table there, like the
yeah,
coaching history, like who they've been like. So a Rick or I'm too lazy, but it's feasible. That's
yeah,
for sure.
no,
Like, you could
no,
definitely
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
so our project, what Easy and I were trying to get done with another GM and RZB. Don't want to put his name out there just yet until I get approval. But we want to pull out all of the other information, especially the stuff that IHOF is doing, not specifically everything that they're doing, but all of the things that are in the CSV that we are not getting on our Plus site that Red Dove graciously gave us. We want to make sure that we can get a lot of that information and make it useful, make it
mhm.
visually useful instead of just being in the CSV and nobody knows really how to interpret it. So
Yeah,
that's where we're going with that, and so hopefully we can kind of get that done. Hopefully by the end of the year is what I hope. We may
sure.
have to throw some ducats that way, um, but so Rob can get off his horse here. Yes, I do provide other people with valuable players. So here's one that I really like this guy. But we wanted to get a little bit younger. We had some guys pop, and Neil Lane, the Pro Bowler, ends up in New Orleans. What do you plan on doing with him?
Well, this is a total compulsive thing, and I don't regret it. It was like a fifth round pick or something, which is pretty meaningless to me. I mean, it's nice to have them, but I don't care really.
Mhm.
I just compulsively saw this bar profile. This is, I mean, he's 253, so a little light for Will, right? But
Yeah.
for a third down specialist, I'll accept it. So yeah, I mean, this guy can rush the passer on a third down. Is he a contained defender? No, he's light. His run
Right.
defense is weak. His play diagnosis is weak for a third down defender. Like, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's fine. I'll play a fifth round for 1 year. This guy actually, he wants like 11
Right.
million a year. I was in such a rush to get him. I didn't even ask. To be honest, I didn't even see how old he was. Like I was just like, yep, I'll do it. I mean, I don't know if you remember posting it, Willie, but like I had sent you a Discord message like within
Yes.
like probably half an hour. Next time I happen to look at my phone and like look at, like, I was like checking some shit. I was like, oh, yep, I'll do it. Yeah, man. I mean, this is just a guy. Talk about a guy who does his job. Like, you know what I mean? And we have Drake, to be honest.
Mhm.
Drake took a big hit this year. Thank God we didn't pay him. We were thinking about paying him early and just like really, we're like kind of on a 2-3 year window here and just kind of just so I don't have to worry about that. But he took a big hit. But actually, his pass rush bar is still solid. So it's a luxury. But hey, whatever. This guy can rush the passer, man. I mean, like that's all there is to it. That's all he would do for us. If I
Mhm.
play one of these pass happy teams, like there you go. This is a guy that can win you 3 or 4 downs against Baltimore. You know what I mean? That if
Yeah.
if you don't have this guy, it's very easy not to have this guy. I almost didn't have this guy. Um, that's
Yeah. He almost went to Cleveland. They couldn't or didn't want to figure out the financials early on, and never got back with me. So, but that was a possibility for them, and I can see them needing a guy like that, especially in their division.
I
But
mean, every team needs
you
this
know,
player. That's not a. There's no reason. I'm not saying he has a unlimited value, but every
mm,
team needs this player. You
yeah,
should have at least one of those guys. So having a designated pass rush specialist, that's just good football, right? It's not
right,
1990s football. We
right,
said it's 2011 football, and passing is still king. So
right.
yeah, yeah. But an interesting player to look at might be, just instead of just like being like, oh, this guy's so great, is the
Hmm.
rookie we drafted because I'll explain. He's very limited, but he can still do the job. It's kind of a miss to be honest for a first round pick. But you want to look at Young, who's a will
Yep.
also.
Yeah. So, yeah, Craig.
Yeah. So, he's not going to really be a winner in the passing game. So you're like, oh, well, no big deal, right? I mean, he's big. He could be the Sam. But then you look, he doesn't have his own bar. He does have a great play diagnosis and all that stuff. But I have, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I have no idea, like about the linebacker pass defense, like interception rate, like that's not something you just see later on if they have that or not. But
I
you
see
know,
his technique bar came down after PS2.
yeah, and
But
his
it
zone was
it
not that bad. Like, and to be honest,
mhm,
I play single high a lot. I don't tease about it, but I really do. So actually, first of all, if he's really playing well, he's going to be pass rushing most of the time. So that's not as big.
mhm,
And if we play single high, if he's not pass rushing, your will frequently will still be in either man or bump. So I'm totally fine for but I want to see either the zone or a bigger pass rush tech bar. 'Cause that just allows him to play one of those positions. He's kind of a
mhm,
tweener between a Sam and a Will.
right.
So a valuable player, but like he's not moving the needle for me. And for 131 pick, that's kind of I was looking for a needle mover at one of the two positions.
Mhm,
Because you see, I have like a rotation at Sam. All good players I like, but you're talking guys that are rated like 40, 42, and they all are just kind of like one trick ponies. So I kind of have to really, depending on opponent, say, okay, this guy's going to play against nickel, this guy's going to play third, this guy's going to play regular. Like I have to look at each opponent and decide which Sam to play in which situation. So that's another kind of interesting way to look at linebackers.
okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I see things a little bit different, and that's just because I do 4-3 exclusively and under as much as I can. But I'm over is coming around to me. If his technique was a little bit better, or if it's going to fill out from what you see here, I would not mind moving him because he's still got that 20 bench to D end. He would just be able to play and what I want to do only because of his endurance and especially because of his special teams also. Um, that's
I think that the
that's
play
how I would play.
diagnosis, the play
Mhm.
diagnosis for a contained defender, like as a 4-3 end, yeah, I mean, he certainly has trade value. Actually, 270, which is another thing. I don't know if I made him gain weight and he did too much or what happened there, but he, yeah, I mean, he can definitely be a very big impact to contain defender, screen stuffer, which is obviously huge. We all know
Mhm.
screens are kind of everything's balanced in this game, but it's
Right.
you gotta have some defensive plans for a screen. Um, so, yeah. So anyway, yeah. No, I mean he's definitely a useful player, but
Yeah.
he's lacking, like you said, like 10 points extra on pass rush tech, or just a little bit more zone to make me feel comfortable putting him at Sam. But anyway, he's useful. And just because
Yeah.
he's not going to guy who gets the sack, like I mean, we're not talking about a guy with zero rush, right? I mean, I'm fine with having him
Mhm.
blitz each down,
Mhm.
but like we saw, like with the nose tackle, it's like once you get like two of those guys in your rush, like now you're really limiting kind of your team rush. Um, now that can be okay, right? But that's not ideal, right? To have two guys in your four-man rush that are kind of limited in that way.
So, and is your height and weight specific just for the line, or is it just the whole defense?
Weight for everyone, but the height is just the D line.
Okay. Because I was
I
just
mean, a super short cornerback obviously would get dinged, but like a linebacker
Mhm.
height, I don't pay my. I mean, I guess if it's like a huge outlier, I'll think about it. I've got a lot of Sams actually that are like 6'5". I don't really know if they perform better or not. Not something I don't know.
Yeah, because I was just curious about what you saw in Craig as opposed to a couple of the other guys who went later on. That's what I was curious about.
Yeah, I really was hoping to draft a Sam, to be honest, or a Will, one or the other. I feel like Drake can play either spot, to be honest. This was before his drop, so I think now he's kind of a weak run defender for the Sam. But because I wanted to get rid of the three-man rotation at Sam that I have now, it's just a lot of roster spots, and you end up spending 20 million to have like a juggling act when just one player could get that job done. So when I see those
Mhm.
opportunities on the roster, again, I'm always trying to think like, how long is this window? I feel like I got a 2 or 3 years here, and I thought there could be one or the other a way to kind of upgrade just outside linebacker in general. He probably still is, to be honest, but just not exactly what I was hoping for.
Okay. Uh, and then we can go fast over this guy, but this is your stud from last year. I this guy has just was freaking incredible. Don't know why he fell past 10, but he did. Uh, it, it still boggles my mind how he fell, but probably should have been could have been rookie of the defensive rookie of the year.
Oh,
I
please don't say
know
that.
I
No, no, we don't
yeah
want
I
any
know I
awards. We don't want any
yeah
awards for this
yeah
guy.
I
No,
know
no,
I
that's a bad
yeah
idea.
so we have our end game and then we have our CMG. He didn't get either one, but this guy was incredible, and I don't see him slowing down. I will say that.
Well, this is interesting. He's actually too good. He will be the piece that we trade to when we do our retool in 2 or 3 seasons. If I had to, that's the plan
Hmm.
essentially. Um, like I talked a little bit before about like kind of the pass rush bars on an inside off ball linebacker. That's a lot of money. Obviously, also I think he would be more valuable. This is not a trade pitch, but it is worth listening to. He'd be more valuable to like a 4-3 team where that middle linebacker spot just gets so many touches and targets, and has so
Hmm.
much more responsibility just across the defense. I think a lot of people would probably just play him at Will or Sam. Sam, I'd actually kind of like to see what would happen there. If there was some injuries, I'm definitely going to try that out for a couple of games. Just those coverage bars, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just, even if he's light, that maybe third down only. That's really interesting. Yeah, whatever, man. I mean, I'm not particularly a good drafter, to be honest. You can look at my history. I'm far from a guru. I pick, on need a lot, just being like, okay, these are the 2 or 3 positions. Let's get the guy. And but yeah, whatever. Rolled snake eyes on this one, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that was a good roll. I will say
Yeah.
that. So um that I remember this guy being a lot better.
Who's that?
Holy crap, what happened? I
Drake.
did not see this. I did not see this.
Who are we looking at?
Corbin Lofton.
What team is that? Sorry, you lost me.
The Cincinnati, the same draft. There were 3 linebackers. Yours, there was Lofton, and then there was Rufus Baylor. But
All right.
Lofton just now tanked. 68.73. Now he's at 26.
Cool. That's brutal.
I did not. That's a bowl hit. Wow. Yeah, I did not see
So
that
I
one.
went first. Let me look at these other guys.
Yeah, I did not catch that one. Here they are here.
See,
But you have to
because
go
of
from there.
size, like Baylor is a great outside linebacker. To be honest, Sam or Will.
Mhm.
That's I'm more interested in Baylor. Yeah, Lofton. That's tough titties.
Yeah, and then you got Pemberton. Yeah, so this, and then you got Marty Woods. I mean, this class of linebackers, especially first round, my goodness.
Yeah.
Because you got Marty Woods
They see a lot
from
of touches.
Indianapolis. So
You look at like who gets targeted, just who gets tackle percent, like
mhm.
having a quality player there. They just touch the ball a lot, or the ball carrier, I guess I should say, or the target.
Yeah. So
But
do you have a threshold for tackle percentage? Because I've started noticing
no,
that as
no, I feel like
well.
it's so context driven. I mean, I
Mhm.
definitely look at it as just like a quick compare. To be honest, most of the defense, I mean, the pass rush percentage is a great metric. Pass defense percentage is kind of good if you know how to kind of wash out the interception numbers a little bit. Um, but I do plus minus. I don't split it off. I run past. That would be too much work. But I track plus minus and just kind of get an idea of like, is this guy really like worth like the more than the 3rd round pick who's like coming in the 2nd, 3rd year? Like, what I mean? Like how many more downs am I winning because of this guy? Or better said, how many more downs am I losing per game because of this guy? Um, it sounds silly, but like a negative on defense usually means like you're giving up what we said, a successful play or extra yak, or like, like it's not good.
Now
Um,
your plus minus, are you talking about from the log, or is this your
yeah,
own
from the log.
personal
Yeah.
formulas? Okay.
No, just
All
no,
right.
just the log. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You just copy paste in the pivot table, just total
Yep.
plus total minus. I don't just look at a season at a time, kind of being it. I don't know for sure, but it seems to like also like kind of be a leading indicator sometimes. Like sometimes it feels
Mhm.
like guys' performance drops off before their official rating drops off.
Yeah.
That could be
Well,
just me,
if
confirmation bias or whatever, but it
yeah,
seems like
well,
that.
if you can compile that metric or give the a little tidbit of what it is, I'm sure that we can
I can
kind of
show it to
get
you right
that.
now if you want to.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I mean, we can get that element copied to where we possibly could include that in some of the extras that we're looking for.
I'll show you right now. It's like 2 seconds if you want.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's see. I guess just let me. I don't know if I
I can
can.
share. I can just ask for it. Do you mind if I share? I know you've got it
No,
disabled. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
I can
No,
show you
I
for
don't.
the time if you want.
Okay, I just need to make sure that I can do that. Or see how to do that. Let's see. Yeah, waiting for a message, I would hope.
Oh, sorry. Let me just try if I can do it now. No.
Okay.
That's all right. I'll shoot you a video or some shit. Like, you can just take a look at it real quick. It's fine.
Yeah, or you can put it on that Discord real quick, and then I can grab it.
Okay, cool. Oh, now?
But so yeah, so those what? Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll be
Okay,
back on track. It's fine. Sorry about that. Yeah, go
gotcha.
ahead.
So yeah, those are part of the anything that you can think of that we're kind of missing And so if you're tracking that already and don't mind sharing it, then
I don't mind. Yeah, I
hopefully,
mean, as far as I'm concerned,
yeah,
it should be free information for everyone. Let's
yeah,
all learn how to be better. It's awesome.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah,
so,
sure,
hopefully we can get, some of that kind of stuff added and, include that into the new enhancements for the plus.
cool, man. Yeah, for
And I
sure.
really want to come up with another name for it, but that's another thing. Yeah. So just let me know when you sent that to me, and I'll go ahead and get that and
Oh,
share
you
it.
want me to do that
I
now?
just
Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me just do. Hold on, let me go. I'm using a.
And let's see. And so going past that, while we wait on that,
Rob, you got nothing to say,
we
Rob?
got,
I'm kind
we
of
got
disappointed, man. You're
Burns.
my biggest fan would be like talking shit and everything, just ignoring me.
I'm just like a fanboy here, man, taking it in, brother. Have no shit to talk.
He's probably got his notepad out and chalkboard, and no,
You are running AI on this. You are
no,
running AI on this stuff. I know.
well,
Uh,
he's a doctor now, so you have an assistant now, I'm sure, don't you?
Me?
Eh,
Me?
yes, you.
Not enough. I don't have
Hmm.
enough help, that's for sure.
Well, if you can afford someone, let me know.
I'm just gonna do screenshots because I'm on whatever. No, I'll screenshot to you, but it'll be very straightforward. You'll see how
Okay.
it works.
All right.
No, this has been absolutely fantastic. Just sitting back and having a front row seat. So thank you for sharing everything. And Willie, so many great questions.
Man,
Awesome dialogue.
it's stuff that I've always wanted to ask each person that I've talked to. It's just something I've always wanted to ask them. It's not like, I'm just randomly pulling. And I don't write them down either. It's just, I just kind of just wanted to be asking different people different questions, and they just happen to come out, I guess. So, but I appreciate it. Absolutely, I do.
Yeah, you got a real talent for this, Willie. Like I said, when I heard it, I was like, oh, I'm definitely doing this. This sounds fun.
And the fact that, I didn't think at the beginning, I really do want it to go 30 minutes, but sometimes they just go long. And when you're having conversations, the long ones actually are faster than you think. And, it is what it is as far as time is concerned. So, just having fun with it. And, I appreciate it. Absolutely.
I'm copying the instructions in here.
So let's talk about like a Super Bowl. What are your picks for the divisions? What do you think will happen overall?
Well, I mean, we're gonna win the ball. No.
Yeah.
To be honest, man, I pay a lot of attention to the game. I pay a lot of attention to my team. I'm not a I like to I pay attention to each game. You know what I mean? I'm not super informed about things. I mean, Willie asked me to look to do the AFC North. I was like, that's cool, it'd be fun. But I couldn't tell you. I feel like I feel like in NFC, which I do know, I feel like the Giants have been close to getting through. I think, to be honest, Willie was a pretty good threat this year. Um, our division's always tough. Yeah, I don't know how many bowls have been straight that the NFC Championship has come from the NFC South, but we got three really good teams there. Okay, yeah, the
So it's
first one.
plus minus. Mhm.
Yeah, so just copy that out of the detailed game log. Obviously, this has a lot of information. I actually don't do Soul Vision for most of my games. I just do the detailed game log. Quirk to quirk.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
So
so just
you,
copy
so
that
you,
in,
you paste it into a spreadsheet.
paste it into a spreadsheet. Let's take a look at that
Okay.
real quick so you can see how that
All right.
goes. I'm
How do
just
you
using
copy
Google
that?
Sheets here.
Yep.
Put those column labels on it. Of course, you could use your own, but whatever.
Mhm.
Just one little thing. For whatever reason, it works better if you grab that copy from the bottom, like scroll all the way to the bottom and do it from like the bottom right box all the way up. Just whatever little tip. If you're doing this, you get frustrated.
Okay.
Um, and here's your pivot table to set up. I'm by no means an Excel genius, but you click Add Pivot Table, and then you put this shit that's on the screen in front of you in there.
Mhm.
Um, all right. So let's go to the end now.
Okay, so from that,
Here's your pivot table setup. You know, the range obviously is the other sheet, the columns A through D,
right,
or A through C
right.
actually. Yeah, one screenshot should be enough. Okay, and then you add. You open this up if you want to see the full thing. You just add a little percentage there. Whatever. B3 over B3 plus C3. A little heat map. And you know, the idea here is you just look by position. So like just look at the center and guards together. So like look, like, you know, and it's very context, like position relative and kind of what their jobs are. Certain jobs are easier.
Mhm.
Um, but like let's just look at the cornerbacks. Like that's probably a little bit more interesting. So you know, see like Burns, Collier, Horner, and Cummings all did more or less the same, right? Um, and then Rhodes and Norton were a little behind. You know, there could be different reasons for that, but like, you know, that's kind of compelling right there, right? Um, Look at the DNs. Tacopina was the best. Not surprising. Look at the bars. Evans had a pretty bad year, as even as a role player. So anyway, you kind of see there, right? Kind of
Okay,
what's going on.
so yeah, so on the left side, if you can see the screen that I'm sharing here, maybe we can't see that as good in the
We can see it's fine.
video.
It's the detailed
Okay,
game log. It's at the bottom of
yeah.
every game.
So
Yeah.
okay, so you have the grade percentage on the left, and then your div. So what? So is this your grade? What are these numbers? These percentages actually represent to you, so that we can relate that when we enhance it, or just for people to just follow your examples and what
It's
you just did.
all that is just percentage of positive. So it's taking that, it's just B3, like, you know,
Hmm.
um, over divided by the sum of B3 and C3. So it's just like
Yeah.
what
So
percentage is positive. Like it's just the same thing as the grade that they give. I'm not
okay.
doing
So yeah.
any,
So
there's nothing
yeah. So
proprietary here,
yeah. So
but
so it's
it's a
just
sum
giving
over
you
the
the
season.
grade.
That's
I
a
got you.
season's worth of data, right? So it's a sum of all the pluses and minuses over the course of the season, and that's a season long grade. It's not
Got
split
you.
out by, I don't do any sort of filtering or anything. It's a very crude
Hmm.
metric. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's just something very simple to do. Takes all of 30
Hmm.
seconds, you know, each game, just copy it in. You don't have to study it that hard. Just look at the look at the red numbers and the green numbers. Try to look at it by position, because again, there's a lot of you know, certain positions are harder than
Hmm.
others.
Yeah, so
But yeah,
you're just making sure that each column is in the same one, and so you're just stacking those each game, and then it gives you this, it spits you out this overall grade for the year.
yeah, it's a spreadsheet with three values in
Okay,
it:
I
the
got you.
player,
Okay,
the positive plays, and the negative plays. That's all it
okay,
is.
yep,
So yeah, there's not a lot of black magic here. Like I said, you'd be surprised how low check actually a lot of what I do is. But it's just something that's very, again, 30 seconds. You put in the spreadsheet, you look at it 2, 3 times a year, kind
yeah,
of figure out like, what's working, what's not working. Obviously, you can look at the traditional statistics too. You know, I'm not saying that you ignore them. It's just another little data point there.
a live text message from our last episode that someone wants to clear up, which is so yeah, we'll put this out there. So red zone. So I guess Frankie is saying, and I'm not sure if you guys, hopefully you guys listened to the last episode, but his rule. So Frankie was saying that red zone had a rule of 300 as far as run blocks for offensive linemen. So he's clearing it up and saying that no, it's a rule of 400, not 300. Just so you know that people. Hey, people are actually listening. I'm glad it's not just me and one random person. So
What's that?
there's that.
The 300, 400 thing? The total run block on a line?
Yeah. So the total run block.
That's my rule. That's my rule. Y'all are stealing my
That's
rule.
your rule.
I
Hey,
told Southpaw. I told Southpaw that rule. I said
hey, I'm not.
once you get 400 run block, all you need is, you know, decent running backs, and you're guaranteed 10 wins this season. Like,
Hey,
you know, like that's
hey, I'm not stealing anything.
oh,
I'm just
it's
trying
not
to bring things
theft.
to the masses. But
All right, yeah.
yeah, so I guess what's being clarified is that it's not a 300 rule, it's a 400 rule.
400 run block on the offensive line and run the ball, and that's
Yeah,
it. You'll get 10 wins. If you
yeah.
really struggled like it just for a long
Okay.
time, you know, that's just the easiest way to get 10 wins.
Yeah. Um and and so he's saying that he got it from someone else, not Southpaw,
Let's
which is
dance
also
around. I like that.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. So things are making their way around around the FOF community, which unless you were wanting to hold it to yourself, at least you know.
Oh,
They say,
dude,
hey,
not at all.
and how about this, Rob? Now Yushikawa actually has 3 other people under his tree. How's that?
Hey, not bad.
It's a big tree. It's a banyan tree. We got
don't-
plenty of space for plenty more. And thank you, Willie, for organizing and spreading the knowledge. You know what I mean?
I have no
Because
tree.
Yeah. So yeah. So no. So just yeah. So Red Zone just he's clearing that up. That yeah. No. It's he shared that information that was 400, not 300. He's not saying where he got it from. I'm not saying that. That's private
all
for
right,
now.
good for Bob. Good to hear from Bob.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And so he's that some things stay confidential until they're not supposed to be. So anyway, no, I like this. I think that this is something that we can definitely add, and it'll be an easy add because it's just formula related. And I think some of these things probably should be just to make them simpler. But it's something that can easily be shared, kind of like the penalty metric that we have on the site right now. So yeah, I love this. All right. Okay, so let's see. How much time you got? I don't know. What time is it now?
It's late.
If you
I
don't
got
mind,
I got a
if you don't
job.
mind sharing.
I don't mind doing 5 minutes, but yeah, I think we're probably pretty
Okay,
good.
all right, yeah.
If you had
If we're good,
one or two other
yeah,
things, if you had one or two
yeah.
things you wanted to ask, then that's fine.
No,
But
if
yeah,
if
no rush.
if we're golden, we're golden.
All right.
The only last thing I say, let's do, and we did touch base on that for just 1 second, and both of you guys can answer this as you see it. Give me a true um, conference championships, both sides,
All right. Let me look here.
and that'll do it.
All right. I'll go with
And
me and you. I'm gonna go with me
I'll
and
go.
you. Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with that.
All right.
I'm down for that. I will agree with that.
All right.
That's an easy one for me.
Yeah.
Rob, you good while he's thinking, or you need more time?
Well, I will take coming out of the NFC. I'll go with the Saints again. The Saints and I'm actually leaning to honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe Arizona.
I can see that happening.
Okay.
It's definitely, and they've
I
definitely beat us before. They've beat us
Yeah.
many times before.
Okay. Well, my NFC West preview will be coming out tomorrow, and I think there are some things there that might change your mind, but we will see. I respect that. Okay, AFC.
I mean, you got to do Vegas at this point. I think
That
that's
yeah, yeah,
it's chalky, I know, but hard to
yeah,
say no to that.
yeah.
Um, and you know what? I mean, maybe it's just because I spent so much time looking at them, but I'm gonna say Cincinnati pulls it together. Uh,
Yeah, we were looking at some schedules last episode. I still say there's just so much going on. They have to play the NFC West. They got to play I'm sorry, the AFC West and the AFC East. I just think that's a lot. There's going to be a lot of carnage going on, and I still have to go with Buffalo and Vegas.
yeah, I looked at Buffalo real quick, obviously too. But they're definitely understandable.
Yeah.
Was
All
that
right.
was I was gonna say coming out Buffalo and myself.
Okay. So got Rob down for Buffalo, Vegas, Arizona, and New Orleans. And we have Yushikawa for Cincinnati, Vegas, New Orleans, Washington. And then I'm going for Buffalo, Vegas, New Orleans, and Washington. And so later on in the season, we'll revisit this, and then we will, pick some playoff scenarios and all of that. Gentlemen, this might be our best, and the fact that it was under 4 hours. So I appreciate both of you being here. Easy, thank you for doing everything that you do. Yoshikawa, man, hey, hats off to you. Everything that you've done in this league, freaking 11 freaking titles is insane. If you get a 12th before my 5th, we might have a problem. But no, I thank you guys for being here.